Hey guys, real quick, before we get into it, do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. That way, you don't miss out on any of the tea. Thanks. So I'm laughing because this is a fun topic. It's another revisiting topic. I just don't know how to feel about it. And our topic is 50 Cent taking over Shreveport. I'm trying not to laugh, but it's so interesting because I just don't know how I feel about it. He's effectively, prepping for this episode, he's bought over 20 properties in downtown Shreveport.
He is currently the largest private owner of property in the entire city.
You heard it from our lips to your ears.
Yeah.
And yes, we were talking about 50 Cent in Shreveport, Louisiana, which we've talked about Shreveport in our first season of the podcast. But there's been some interesting developments in the post New York election, where there's a connection between New York and Shreveport now, and kind of advertising to move down here. And I just really want to get your thoughts on all of this because I don't even know what my thoughts are. So take it away.
Yeah. So Curtis Jackson, better known as the rapper 50 Cent, has, as we mentioned, bought over 20 properties in downtown Shreveport. In addition to the properties that he has purchased, he has 2 leases with the city. One on a property called the Millennial Works Studio.
Yes, okay.
And another, the more recent lease, Stageworks Studio. And so the plan is to bring his G-Unit Productions to Shreveport. So if you are familiar with the TV show Power, there's another TV show, BMF. These are shows that he's produced, multiple seasons, and so he wants to bring that production company down to Shreveport is the plan that's been expressed for the space. So far, the production piece has not happened. That has been a topic of question from the community, from the city council, like, hey, what's going on? Why has nothing happened yet? So from the city council standpoint, the issue at Millennium Works, which is the first studio that he signed a lease on, is that there's some flooding issues at that property. So that has been the delay in actually bringing production there.
Fair.
So
hopefully,
hopefully that will be remediated and can move forward soon. The other property, Stageworks, is the most recent lease. So that lease was just signed this year, just a month or two ago in September. And so the goal with that space is to create a sports and entertainment hub.
Yes, I saw that. I saw some renderings.
So in addition to this sports entertainment hub in this particular location, there's also been a new special district tax applied to the area. It is the 50 Cent Entertainment District Tax. So it's a 2% sales tax that can be levied in this particular area, with the hopes that this Stageworks property will be developed into this sports and entertainment that will then spill out and kind of have, a radiating effect on the other businesses around it. And you will kind of have this downstream tax revenue that will start to be generated in this entertainment district. Currently, the lease is for $200 a month. So Mr. Jackson is getting a great deal on this property. I think overall, it seems to be that 50 Cent is all in on Shreveport, and for sure from the perspective of at least city leadership, city council, Shreveport's all in on 50 Cent. They have really given him a lot of latitude with regards to the tax credits for film and television that were here in Louisiana. There are about to be some changes to that. They've done specific carve-outs so that he can continue to produce and receive those tax credits. These very, very financially beneficial leases. So it's definitely a situation that I think the perspective of leadership in the city is it's a win-win, right? Or what can it hurt? It hasn't cost the city of Shreveport anything, right? So it's not like it's, I'm going to put in $20 million. You guys have to put up $20 million. It hasn't cost the city anything to really make it welcoming for him to do business there. And when you consider that Shreveport is a struggling city, the downtown is deeply depressed. A lot of the buildings that were there are vacant. A lot of the businesses that were there have vacated. To have someone kind of come in and say, I'm going to single-handedly revitalize this. I'm going to invest my own dollars in doing it. I don't know many cities in the same situation that Shreveport is in who would say, no, absolutely not. Get out of here. Take it away.
So let me ask you this: what you've laid out what's going on? What is actually like? What's the underlying reasons of like why so many properties? Why Shreveport? And is this, in your opinion, the elixir that they think it is? Because it seems that this is giving off a lot of eggs in one basket, type of thing. So, what's the underlying beneath the surface?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are definitely going, okay, what's really going on?
Yeah,
here, right?
Like, I've heard that from many people who watch
this. What's the other shoe that's about to drop?
Actually going on?
I mean, my legitimate belief here is much like the city of Shreveport is like, well, what do we have to lose? It's costing us
nothing. Which is a fair.
I think 50 Cent has kind of the same perspective. Like, what is there to lose? It's essentially costing him nothing, right? He is an extremely wealthy person. For him to go spend, I think the most expensive building he's bought is maybe like $1 or $2 million. For him to go drop $2 million is nothing to him, right? So when you look at what Tyler Perry has done just outside of Atlanta with his Tyler Perry Studios and sort of this just like self-sustaining ecosystem that he has been able to build, I think 50 with his like very popular G Unit productions that he's done is kind of looking at that and going, okay, there's an opportunity for me to not only create something similar where I can have a self-sustaining ecosystem where I can produce my shows, produce my movies, produce our documentaries, whatever, what have you, but also have it be in a downtown of a city, right? And so anybody who's been to Orlando and looks at like sort of the infrastructure of the city that's just built entirely around Disney, right? Like transport, lodging, all of the things built around supporting Disney. I think on a much smaller scale, that is his long-term vision. And it's pretty cheap to execute right now, right? Because like everything in downtown Shreveport is for sale. And if it isn't for sale, it's empty, and who owns it is probably willing to sell it, right? So I think right now it's one of those things that is kind of a win-win for both parties. There is at least this possibility of movement and shaking and something new and innovative and different, or not, if not necessarily innovative, something new and prosperous to come to downtown Shreveport. So the city is like, that's a win for us. And 50 Cent is getting the land for dirt cheap. He's going to own it. And if his vision does come to fruition, it will make him a very, very wealthy man, right? Even if he doesn't necessarily do his own sports and entertainment district, if he builds this production studio here, right? And now you have actors and actresses that are coming, they need housing, they need food. So again, if he's able to build this ecosystem just around the production piece, the downstream of, oh, well, you want to put your restaurant near my production studio? Here's the rent. Or yeah, I'll sell you the building, but like this is how much it's going to cost. So it's, I think, a win-win for him if the city comes back.
So you keep saying if. So my question is, will this be successful? To be clear, I would love for this to be successful. I want to see Shreveport thrive and be what it could be. The question is this practical?
I don't know how much of the like sports entertainment piece is really going to happen. I think that is definitely a longer term endeavor. But when you consider, I mean, there is talks around like minor league sports teams and things, you know, so and already established business people in that region who are advocating for that sort of thing. Like, let's bring another like minor league hockey team to Louisiana and that sort of stuff. If he has built the infrastructure for those kinds of things to come in, whether it's minor league basketball, minor league hockey. We have seen like the explosion of sports betting. We already know there's the only thing in Shreveport right now is casinos, right?
Yeah.
So like if you are creating things that kind of fit in that infrastructure, I think there can be a great deal of success around that. He has proven himself from a production standpoint, right? Like I think the show Power has now had 3, 4, maybe even 5 spin-offs. Each of these shows has run for multiple seasons. I mentioned the other show, BMF. I think that has had like 3 or 4 seasons. So he has already established himself as a force within the production space. And again, like I mentioned, Tyler Perry Studios. I absolutely think that creating this sort of entertainment production ecosystem is very possible, very doable. Okay. Just last year, he brought the Harmony and Humor, or Humor and Harmony event to Shreveport. Big name people. I mean, Dave Chappelle was there. You've got big name artists. And so he does not appear to just be paying lip service. Like there really does appear to be like effort and commitment in this. That event is coming back to Shreveport in the spring of 2026. I really do believe if the production piece can get off the ground, the other components will follow. He has mentioned, reality shows that he wants to do, live studio audience shows that he wants to do. We know reality TV is something that is really cheap to produce, really easy. It is a big generator monetarily for networks. So for sure, especially with the city being so bought into him, one of the reality shows he wants to do is called Shreveport Justice and like follow the police in Shreveport around. I would not be surprised if within the next year we actually see that. So for me, what I'm kind of watching is when something really gets off the ground from a production standpoint. Okay. So not necessarily that they've like built studios and all of the things, but at least that they are physically in Shreveport producing content. I wouldn't be surprised if reality TV is the first thing that we see in that regard.
I could see that.
The Harmony and Humor event is coming back next year. There's opportunity to record that and do comedy specials and those sorts of things. So there's a lot of opportunity to just have some like kind of quick low-hanging fruit wins. Again, so many people are very suspect, like there's nothing going on in Shreveport. Why would he come and buy all of this property in Shreveport? And I really do think he sees the opportunity to sort of create his own little production entertainment ecosystem there. And if it's successful, I mean, it could be such a huge game changer, not just for Shreveport, for the state of Louisiana, but also industry-wise, because now you have sort of this second individual just going, I'm just going to make my production my own thing. We're going to film everything here. I mean, Tyler Perry built like a mock-up of the White House down outside of Atlanta, right? Like, we're going to film all of our series here. I'm going to bring in the actors. I'm going to bring in the talent. I'm going to bring in the food service. I'm going to, we're going to just do all of this here. So yeah, I think as long as networks continue to stay bought into G Unit Productions and what they are churning out, you're really going to see a big swell of activity in Shreveport. There's still a lot of ifs, right?
So
and there's still some things that are far off, but I believe in this. And I'm very interested to see what happens.
What do you think, to kind of play devil's advocate, when I was preparing for this? There's a lot of criticism of is Shreveport giving him too much leeway without any guardrails, just kind of almost like a blank check, if you will. What's your thoughts on that?
They have essentially written him a blank check. And what I would say is when this is successful,
manifesting
what it could mean in a detrimental sense to the city is he is getting a huge portion of this pie financially, right? Like from a revenue generation standpoint, and how much of that is really getting to go back into the city and how much of that are they really benefiting from? If many of the people that are working on these things are being brought in rather than being hired from the immediate community, that would be, I think, a detriment to the city. So yeah, I think there has been sort of a kind of like, just go for it, just go for it, just go for it, because what else is
What do we have to lose?
happening, right? And like, what do we have to lose? And you haven't asked us for any money, so like,
True. I mean, that's facts. So.
Right? So I think the belief is like, the worst thing that can happen is like, this doesn't get off the ground.
True.
And then he's got all this property that he's just like trying to sell. Or, a very small portion of this gets off the ground and like, but it doesn't turn into this big thing. And he kind of like, his attention goes elsewhere. He goes to build his production studio elsewhere. The best thing that can happen is that like, this is a success, right? To go back to that Orlando example, why I don't think this will be nearly as big as Disney World. There's certainly people who probably look at Orlando and go, Disney has too much power here, and they have too much influence here, and too much of the city's infrastructure is geared around this one singular entity who like basically like privately controls the city. How is that fair? How is that okay? The other side of it, though, is what was in Orlando before Disney World.
We saw this play out with, the governor of Florida a few years ago with Disney pushing back on stuff, and they're like, you need us more than we need you type of thing. Right? And so you're totally right on that. So I do have one more final question. There's been, in the past 2 weeks, it's kind of been ramped up a little bit. So New York just came off of an election.
Yes.
They elected Mondani as the mayor. And if you look at 50 Cent's current social media, there's a lot of encouraging New Yorkers who are not happy with that to move to Shreveport. And he's very explicit about it on his social media. Like he's saying like, no, move here.
Yeah.
So open-ended question, what do you think of that?
I mean, I don't know too many New Yorkers who are jumping at leaving New York to move to Shreveport. But realistically, I think what that comment is indicative of, and I think what you're seeing from him is really reflective of something you kind of saw with the whole like California and how many people sort of decamp from California and move to Austin, right? Or move to the surrounding areas of hill country. Yeah. I do think that there is a certain type of person who like that appeals to, right? The leaving, whether it's California, New York, whether it's blue state, liberal city, whatever, what have you, the reasonings. I think there is a portion of the population that is kind of excited about this sort of like neo-pioneer life or whatever.
Neo-pioneer of mid-sized cities.
Austin, obviously, significantly more established city before the real influx that you've seen happening there happened in a way that Shreveport isn't quite there. But that doesn't mean that it couldn't be, and I think that is really sort of the chorus you're hearing across the South, right? Is like, hey, we've got plenty of land, we've got plenty of state, we've got plenty of opportunity.
1000%.
Come down here, come down here, come down here. So while I think he was obviously being a bit facetious, I think there's also that aspect of like, he is the largest private landowner in Shreveport. So like, it actually it behooves him to like attract people from New York to come down to Shreveport. What are they coming down here for? That's the other piece, right? So, it's field of dreams, right? If you build it, they will come. If he builds it, people will come, right? I mean, again, when you've seen the renderings of like the sports and entertainment venue that he wants to create, when you hear about the vision, I think it aligns very closely with what is still existing in Shreveport today. Casinos are booming. Like the casinos do very well there. You have a riverfront, right? Like Shreveport's actually very well positioned to be a kind of like mini entertainment hub, right? And so I really do think that if he can get these things off the ground, you might actually see a few New Yorkers, particularly people who work in the entertainment industry, where cost of living is high in places like New York and LA. You're struggling to find consistent business and consistent work to come to a place where they're just like, yeah, all we do is sit here in this one spot and churn out all of our TV series or churn out all of our reality TV shows. You've got the stability of work. You've got, this community that's built around this business. That is actually, I think, very attractive to people. The
urban studies professor made things. Cities become what they are because people make them that way, right? So I don't know why, but I'm thinking like Asheville, North Carolina, for instance. Yeah. It's not a great comparison, but Asheville became a city. It's not a big city, but it's a good medium size that became a hub of art and culture, right? And there's no reason that if you really kind of create a concerted strategic effort that Shreveport becomes some type of city that's anchored, not necessarily by like the same way as Asheville, but around film.
Yeah,
and so forth.
It's almost like the old school company town perspective,
yeah,
right?
Great.
Like,
That's
mining communities and things like that.
Great.
Of like
that's a great example. Yeah.
Whole towns, whole cities
Correct.
built around the mining company came in,
Correct.
blew open the mines, and then said, okay, we're going to build you houses.
Yeah.
We're going to build you a general store.
There's
we're going to build
precedent.
restaurants, right? So it really is just the new version of the company town concept.
Yeah,
and
that's a great way to think about it.
Again, I think if it works, like it would
works.
be really exciting to see Shreveport get that, like new life breathe into it. It would also just, I think, be great for the state too, as well, that there is a destination place that is bringing people not just to the southern parts of the state, but really highlighting what's to offer in northern Louisiana.
And, I know we opened this episode was kind of like giggly and stuff because I giggle and laugh because it wasn't on my bingo card. That this would be a top, like 50-cent Shreveport.
Of all the places and all the people.
Exactly. But in talking about it, I would love nothing more than for this to be successful because it would be one of those, this was not on my bingo card, but man, it worked.
It's a major
And if
game
it
changer.
works, it works, right? And I can't be mad at that.
Yeah.
And he does, I will say this, he does seem, yes, economics is cheap, but he does seem genuine.
No, he seems genuinely bought into this.
He would not be wasting his time and energy
right.
to do something that he ultimately wouldn't see as fruitful.
And there's precedence, right? We've
Correct.
seen this happen before. We have seen how it works for Tyler Perry Studios.
Yep.
We have seen how company towns work. We have seen what Disney did in Orlando, right? Like there's all these different precedents for how you can come into this space and say, okay, I'm going to acquire the land for cheap. I'm going to like drive the infrastructure around what we do here and like have it flourish and grow. And it doesn't happen overnight, right? Like Disney wasn't built in a day.
Correct.
G-Unit Port will not be built in a day. But I'm a firm believer. I think it's really going to happen. I don't think the timeline is nearly as quick as people think. I think one of the councilmen for Shreveport didn't expect the entertainment district tax to really generate meaningful revenue until around 2027.
But that's already in place. So
that was approved.
Already exists.
That was approved again in September.
Okay.
So just a few months old.
Cool.
So they don't expect it to generate meaningful revenue until 2027. That realistically is probably more like 2028, 2029, right? But barring something just catastrophic happening, I think that it's going to move forward. I think that he's going to push ahead in making this happen, and it'll be really interesting to see how it changes Shreveport.
I really like your company town analogy. It's a really good way to think about it.
Yeah.
Just a modern day version of that. Cool. Well, we'll continue to follow this.
Absolutely.
I love this diversity of topics we're having. It's just kind of like what's going to be today. So Louisiana, thank you for giving us good things to talk about.
Yes,
right?
always.
So as always, you can find us on all of our social media. We are on all of the main platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, for those who want to kind of watch the videos. Follow us on social media, Instagram, and for our Patreon listeners, right, you get early access to our episodes, and we would love for other people to subscribe to it. And as always, if you do have ideas on topics, please send us a message. We do check them, and we have a list that we're creating on other topics that we want to delve into based on feedback from y'all, and we really do appreciate it. We wouldn't be able to do this without you. right? And we continue to kind of bring awareness on some topics in our state and in our city. So thank you.
Absolutely. So thank you guys, and until next week.
Bye. See you later.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Pelican Briefs.
If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button.
If you are loving the show, you can help us keep the conversation going by supporting us on Patreon.
Your contribution on Patreon ensures we can continue producing quality content you love.
Click the link in the description to become a patron today.
Until next time, this is Pelican Briefs.